Hey yo, what's going on, everybody? We're
Schrade N
fucking
Beanz is back.
yeah.
A couple,
Doing today.
like how many? It's probably been what, a year and a half?
Yeah, it's been a little bit. It's a little different too.
Yeah, this is a new platform.
Hmm.
I'm kind of digging it a little bit.
Yeah,
But yeah, it has been a while. I've moved three times in the span of our uh, uh, last episode. So
nice.
yeah,
Definitely that. You working with the amateur golf league or something?
yeah, the Mississippi Golf Association. Yeah, so I run amateur tournaments. Um, Shout out Neil Shipley, one of the best amateur golfers
Yes, sir.
in the world right now.
Hmm.
Yeah,
He's
so
turning it up.
yeah, like he hasn't played in any of our events, but he he beat all of the guys that qualified at our qualifiers. So
Yeah,
pretty damn good golfer.
go you, baby.
Yeah,
But yeah, I've just been for me, I've just been working. I just started working at Amerifit right now, and as soon as I pass my ACSM certification, probably I'll get into personal training, and we'll see where that goes from there.
sweet. So like, I guess what do you want to do with your personal training then? Like, do you want to take that anywhere like in
I'm
particular?
not sure where I'll start at. I've been contacting a few gyms about training for preparing for that to see what opportunities I could get. Ideally, I'd want to run my own program, but I feel like I should get some experience before I start doing that. And even then, I still work with like some of my friends in general. Shout out Luke, always at the gym. And yeah, I feel like having more experience in that regard would be helpful for my career.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds like you have a good reputation with training people already. Like I saw Kate's post about like you being a great trainer.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's awesome, dude.
Hopefully, I don't got COVID from her.
Yeah, COVID's coming back. That's what I've been hearing.
Yeah, don't want my flight getting canceled now.
Yeah. They're gonna bring back the mask mandates before we know it. So I'm ready.
Exactly. Speaking of which, football seasons, at least NFL seasons, right around the corner.
We had college week one, like this past weekend, and then tomorrow NFL's back.
Yes, sir.
Long awaited season. I've been waiting. Uh, like what are like you most excited for heading into this season? What
I'm gonna
kind of
be honest.
huh?
I've just started like getting super into college football, and this past weekend I was super hyped for that Colorado game.
Dion prime time,
He pulled it off. I
dude. That
couldn't
was
believe
awesome. I mean, I
like
got
a
into
teams to do it against too. That's what I love the most.
mm, going into Texas, Texas Christian on the road.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a like great uh, way to start the season. Give a message to all of the people that were doubting him, uh, hating on him. I got to watch him at Jackson State, like the last game before he uh, like decided to go to Colorado.
Hmm.
Awesome experience. He seems like a great coach, even though he puts a lot of the spotlight on him. Like he seems like he's a great leader, like for those boys. So it's awesome.
Exactly. And Dion's been that. Now that I've looked more into it, Dion's been that all the way through like NFL or like even like when he was in sports media for a little bit. He's always been a dude about hype and entering like college football, even at Jackson State. It was he always seems to have all this hype, and he seems to not only live up to it but exceed it. to a certain level. Like I don't know if you've seen any of his son's YouTube channel, Well Off Media, where he records like all the coaches meetings or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
His introduction to like Colorado, like I thought I was gonna lose a spot and I wasn't even on that team. that's how much that's how impactful like just that first meeting was, and even then it's only continued on. And there was a lot of different change with that team. So the fact that their first game together, not only they pull off a upset win, but against a team in the national championship game last year,
And I
that game
mean,
that game alone
turning, yeah,
made
and I mean turning that program around. Like I know it's only been 1 week, but like they won one game in 2022, and to go out and beat a ranked opponent who like was in the national championship game.
Have you ever seen like so many
Unreal.
NFL players like tweeting or talking about what Dion did to for a regular season college football game?
Mm-mm.
Like maybe in 2019, like the LSU Alabama. Maybe that's the only other time I could think of it. But god damn, that was I'm amazed he did it that fast. And even then, I think college football is changing in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But where you don't because of the transfer portal and NIL money, you don't really need to build up programs like 2 or 3 years like it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the right coaches, the right attitude, the right players, you can easily rebuild a program in 1 year, and it's already looking like that's paying off dividends.
Now it's easier said than done because you go to another team, the Florida Gators, who brought a couple people in out of the transfer portal.
Yep.
Got some great guys coming in, but the first game of like the year, Utah on the road, a lot of backups in the game, which
Yep.
makes you believe like the Gators, even if they're like kind of inexperienced playing together, they should have a chance.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most embarrassing games I have ever watched. There wasn't any uh, uh, discipline on the field at all. They just didn't look like they wanted it at all. They let two backup quarterbacks come in and just
Yeah.
piece them apart in the first play, and then penalty after penalty.
I felt like every penalty happened on a play that resulted in a first down.
It did, yeah.
It
They would
really
get a
it was
terrible holding
frustrating.
call or like an illegal formation or something.
Mhm.
Two like they're getting the ball back on a punt, and they have two players that have the same number on the field, and it gives them a first down, and then they get a touchdown off that drive. Like
The one
just
I
absurd.
The one I remember, it was like first or second drive where it was you guys were at the 6 yard line or something. It was like 3rd and 1, easy first down, then a penalty, and then they don't get it, and then they miss the field goal after that. And I
Like
was
a
just,
big momentum changer. Like that's points on the board that
mhm.
you need.
I think the game was close to that point too. Like I think it was only 7-0, or maybe I might be
It
wrong.
was 7-3. Yeah,
Yeah, 7-3. So it was like really close.
yeah, it would have kept it close, and then I mean, like our defense played okay, but it came down to penalties and special teams kind of costing the game. So
Yeah. Is there any other QB in the weights other than Graham Mertz?
I don't hate Graham Mertz. I think if they get the run game going a bit, they don't have to rely on Graham Mertz as much. And again, I think it comes down to the O line not being able to block,
I was
not
going
giving
to
Graham any time whatsoever to do anything.
Yeah.
So I mean, he played at
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, which is a run heavy offense. I mean, you got to get I mean, that's what the Gators have been good at as well, and they just couldn't get it going in the game.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No,
it's tough.
it just felt like Billy Napier didn't really have anyone else to go to other than him, especially for like most of the summer.
I mean, they were having off the field issues with quarterbacks, and
Yeah.
they have a guy coming in who's a a a 5-star quarterback, but whether he decides to change his mind after like whatever just happened there, so
Wow.
who knows?
Hmm.
But like they can't hang in the SEC at the moment, it seems. So
Yeah.
it
Especially
seems like
since it's probably going to get bigger too after this year.
yeah. I mean,
Oklahoma
I
and
don't
the
think
other
Oklahoma and Texas are going to be able to
Texas.
hang either. But I don't know anything. So
Archie Manning. He's
oh
gonna be
brother,
mad.
is he coming in?
He's
Uh,
at, I think
is he at
Quinn's.
Texas now? Is he at
Yeah, he's at
Texas now behind Quinn Ewers?
Texas now, but he's behind Quinn. Which, depending on how Quinn plays, he might be NFL.
Yeah, I mean Quentin looked pretty good against Alabama last year when I watched that game, and then he got injured.
Yeah.
So they play this coming week, so that'll be a pretty good game.
Hmm.
Although I
Well, at
trust
least,
Alabama to get it done.
well, at least your NFL team won't be causing you stress this year, or at least as much as Florida has.
Yeah, I mean Pittsburgh. Uh, what do you think? Like, are they going to be good this year, Sam? What do you
I
got?
made this. I made this opinion about it earlier. I think the floor is 7 wins and the ceiling is 11. But in my opinion, I think they win about 9 games.
So
But I think
above 500.
I think TJ Watt coming back for a full year will definitely improve this team. On top of having Highsmith as well, Cam Hayward. That ultimately the pass rush is gonna result in a lot of Steelers wins and will be the reason they win most of their games. On top of some of their playmakers in their secondary, like Minka, of course. Now that we got Joey Porter and even Pat Pete, although I don't know if he'd fit in this scheme as much since he's more of a zone corner than a man corner.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as long as the defense is elite and the offense can be middle of the road, I think they'd be good for at least like 9 or 10 wins.
Yeah, and I mean I think Kenny Pickett will probably make a jump this year as well.
Hmm.
Um, would would like to see the players around him on offense also pitch in a little bit. I know that like you're down on uh, Najee like a bit, but
As a
you know,
workhorse,
yeah. I mean, if he comes together, if George keeps balling out the way that he does,
mm,
I don't know. Like I'm excited about this team. I mean, like they always cause me stress whenever I watch. It seems like there is never a blowout with Pittsburgh. It's always down to the wire. Are they
no,
going to win? Are they going to lose?
that's
Are they
why
going to
they're
blow this game?
that's
It's
why they're gonna win their first 2 games and lose their next two.
like you don't think they could go like
They're
11 and
gonna
0 and then
they're gonna go 5-0,
give up.
and people are gonna think they're better than the Chiefs and
Yep,
Bills.
yep.
Wouldn't be the
Reel
first
in the
time.
false hope, man. Reel it in. It's here.
Wouldn't
This
be
is
the
the
first
season,
time.
man. Steelers gone to Super Bowl, man. Come on, get on board, Sam.
Gotta
Come on
believe
board.
it. I do believe the team. I just don't got Super Bowl expectations.
Like it was crazy to think that like we were at a point like a couple years ago where we thought that we were going to be entering like the dark ages
Hmm.
of Pittsburgh football. But
Well, I guess we sort of are like just 500 football if you see it like
yeah,
that.
but I mean,
But
but it isn't like we're not like the Jags in their dark times. Or I think the Packers are going to be
as long as we have Mike
pretty
Tomlin,
rough.
I don't think we'll be there. As
Yeah,
much as
true.
we want to criticize like his coaching and whatnot, he's probably the only reason this team had 9 wins last year.
Yeah, it's
You know,
probably.
without your best player for half a year, with Kenny Pickett being a rookie on top of Mitch Trubisky playing, I think, 4 or 5 games starting for them, that team had no business being above 500. And the fact that that was a worst case scenario and they still got 9 wins, that's a good baseline.
It says a lot. I'm excited, man. Like, I know that, like, pretty much the only thing that we've been able to watch is Pirates baseball. So,
Going to the games too.
it is good to be back. I am loving every minute of counting down until, like, the season begins. It's been great.
I love it.
Any Super Bowl predictions?
Mm.
We always have to do this one.
Yeah, we definitely got to do it. I have a hard time seeing Kansas City repeat, especially with Chris Jones potentially not playing until at least week 8, maybe even longer if they somehow can't pay him. The Bills, I would say, if I could trust Von Miller coming back from a second ACL tear, and he's also going to be 35 this year, and also their secondary is sort of aging a little bit, and specifically like their safeties, Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. So, like, it's in some way, shape, or form from their elite defense before Von Miller got hurt. I feel like it will be a tick down, and I don't think they have enough weapons on offense to even compete. Like, even though they did get Dalton Kincaid, which is seemingly like the first weapon they've added since Diggs. So
Yeah.
that's at least good. I don't think it'd be enough for them, but which is why, in my opinion, I think the team that comes out the AFC is going to be the Bengals, and I think whoever comes out the AFC is going to win the Super Bowl. So I got Cincinnati.
Really? You
But
don't believe in uh, the
there
Eagles
is
to come
another.
out and ball out like
The
you're
thing
known
about
for?
Here's what I'll say about the Eagles. Last year, I think one of the podcasts I listened to about the Eagles, I think it was from a deep dive series with that franchise guy. He noted that the Eagles starters, or no, the NFL starters on average play 11% of like the 17 game season, like all together. Where the Eagles last year at 68%, which
That could be
yeah,
an issue coming down to the end of the season.
it's a regression, and it was 68% of 20 games too. Which I'm not saying injuries are gonna happen, but the odds of that health stacking up for a second straight year. Granted, the NFC is horrible, so honestly, if they
Yeah,
win the Super
I
Bowl,
was going
it
over
would shock
all of the
me.
teams earlier today. I was like, what is in the NFC right now? You got the Niners and
I
the
don't, I
like
don't want to say
maybe the
Dallas.
Eagles.
I don't want to say Dallas. At the same time, that roster is actually loaded.
They're good. Dak will probably bounce back as well. People are kind of
I don't think it's about that. It's more of how's he gonna perform in the playoffs.
yeah. So,
Which, I mean, it's definitely been iffy the last few times he's been there. But yeah, I think my pick would be the Bengals. I think I low key want to say the Jets, but I saw the first 6 games of their schedule, and that could be a rough start, and a matter of them bouncing back. Because I think they got the Bills, the Chiefs, the Patriots, who are underrated, the Eagles, and I think either the Dolphins and Broncos. That's the other one.
yeah, like that AFC used to be pretty tough. A
Hmm.
lot of good teams in there.
I think every
I
division
personally am still
uh,
going to ride Jets and Eagles in the
you're a big
Super Bowl.
Jets guy. Hey,
I just want to see it.
tell me what you like about it.
Well, I like Eagles just have all of the pieces there, and like obviously, like you mentioned, that it could come down to uh, health concerns. But I mean, they
Even
proved
even
that they
losing
were.
Javon Hargrave, I know they got Jalen Carter, but I don't think Jalen Carter is going to be anywhere near the player Javon Hargrave was last year.
I think if Jalen just keeps progressing, I know they also lost like their offensive coordinator, but I mean, if that team just keeps clicking the way that they do, and then I don't know, I like if they like want to script the NFL, you got to put like the Jets in there. That
W.
just Rodgers sticking it to the Packers, coming out, winning the Super Bowl.
They got a 2-year
Maybe
window.
not. Okay, making it into the Super Bowl. I'm gonna pick the Eagles to win it all.
I
That'll
like
be
that.
the Jets and Eagles. Eagles taking it on top.
I like that. I think the one concern with the Jets for me, their defense is obviously elite. Like I think their secondary, arguably the best in the league, especially with Sauce, DJ Reed, who often gets overlooked because of Sauce, and ultimately their pass rush has a lot of edge players that could honestly be like number one or number twos on every team. Like Bryce Huff is probably their sixth best edge player, and on like some teams like the Saints, he'd probably be their two or even one. But it's just how loaded that pass rush is. But the one real concern is their weaponry outside, specifically like their receiving options, especially after Corey Davis retired, which you're pretty much left with Garrett Wilson, who's obviously like I think he's going to be elite this year. But then you drop down to Mecole Hardman and Alan Lazard, and I think CJ Uzama could be good, but I don't think he's anything special. Or Tyler Conklin. I mean, they're just fine tight ends. But I think if there's going to be one thing that holds them back, it's going to be that specifically.
Yeah, I mean they'll probably be like relying on Talvin and Brees as well in games. So, but
That's
I don't know,
definitely
man. I just got a feeling. Something tells me that they want Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl, and they're going to do it.
W script.
The commercial that the NFL made just has me buying it that it's rigged. So
They want Mahomes out the script. Clearly,
exactly.
that's why. That's the real reason Chris Jones holding out.
So part of the script, man.
It is, man.
Alrighty. Well, I got to get going, Sam. But I think that was what was that like 25 minutes there?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Pretty good.
And for those of you watching this, I'm gonna try to upload this on YouTube. So if you're watching this as a video, welcome. It's our first video of it, and I think we're gonna have our first. I think this is gonna be our first episode where we split it into segments with other people. So either you're gonna see Sean or Lance in the next section. I'm pretty sure it might be Lance though. And then, yeah, just hope you guys enjoy the new format. You got anything else to add, Jared?
Schrade N Beanz back. That's all I'm gonna say. Catch us on the tube.
Yes, sir. And now we're joined by one of my boys, Lance Wolber. I used to play hockey with him when I was younger.
Thanks for having me, Sam.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the one thing we're going to talk about today is what was one of your biggest takeaways you had from week one of college football?
I would probably say Florida State beating LSU. I think that was pretty huge. Plus that game last night, Duke-Clemson. I mean, I did not see Duke shitting on them. I mean, that was something.
Yeah.
And I was pretty impressed by Pitt's win too. Sure, it was Wooford, but I mean,
I wonder what Brian Kelly told LSU at halftime, considering it was like a 31-0 run.
Sure wasn't good. I know. I have some friends back in Florida who went to FSU, and they were pretty happy. Not gonna lie.
bet, yeah.
I hate seeing them happy.
I also saw like Harold Perkins was in coverage like 28 seconds, or no, 28 snaps out of like 35.
Really?
And it's like you're gonna put your best edge rusher in the country in coverage.
How about that pick game though?
Hey,
I was watching it
they
at work.
covered.
Yeah,
They covered.
that's all that matters. I mean, sure they're playing a crappy
Elite
team, but I mean, Phil Yurkovich can't run for his life, but I mean he's got a good arm.
hey, PR kid, hell yeah. It's the best way to do it.
Yeah, personally, I didn't catch too many of the games. I just kind of watched the recaps, and that
Yeah.
Duke Clemson game, I was pretty shocked by that. Not gonna lie, that was
Definitely.
something.
I feel like
I think Clemson's overrated.
The past 3 years they've been overrated. I was just gonna bring that up ever since Trevor left.
They're always overrated.
And it's not really the defense, because the defense, like, even last night, I know they gave up 35 points. They were still making great plays.
I mean, I wouldn't say Pitt's like a contender this year, but I would say probably Duke is somewhere to like. They should watch for Duke, because I mean,
I think Duke's schedule.
North
coming up,
Carolina's going to be
like,
good.
They should be undefeated until Notre Dame, which that matchup's gonna look interesting.
If Pitt's defense
Well,
can
I
stand
think-
strong, and their offense can be decent, I think they'll be okay. I mean, their offensive line kind of stinks, but
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, I mean, I think they'll have a decent year. So,
What do you think of some of the Big Ten games that happened?
oh, the Penn State game, yeah, that was
That's the best QB I've seen play there in my lifetime.
I hate Penn State, but I think they're gonna be really good this year. I really do.
That Drew Aller kid, he looks like a stud.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be good. I mean, West Virginia's not that great, but I mean, Penn State looked pretty good.
Yeah, that's what JB Nelson was even playing too. He's a Mount Lebanon kid.
Oh, really? Yeah. Speaking of Mount Lebanon, they actually beat Bethel in overtime this weekend.
Yeah.
Sad.
Last second too.
Yeah,
Play.
yeah, that's what I heard. My dad was watching the
Definitely.
game. Damn.
I think Ohio State might be in trouble with, especially if McCord continues to play.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was missing a lot of open receivers when I watched.
Oh
the game.
yeah, no for sure.
Especially since we now loaded that receiving room is with Marvin,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Luka,
Oh, they're loaded.
and it just doesn't stop from
And
there.
USC too should
And
probably
even
be there.
Travion.
Yeah. USC will be there too. I mean,
It's pretty much Big Ten might be Michigan's to lose, especially once Harbaugh comes
oh
back.
yeah.
So I think they're probably the big contender in that.
No, for sure, for sure.
USC, they're definitely in contention because of Caleb, but
Yeah, I think they're gonna be
the
good.
defense is going to be skeptical. That's
Yeah.
the only thing.
Their offense is still decent. Their defense, yeah, it's gonna be a little iffy, but we'll see.
Especially since, September 30th, they're playing a team like Colorado.
They're looking good. They're looking good.
I'm shocked they pulled it off, to be
Deion
honest.
Sanders, he does wonders for teams.
He wasn't. I think nowadays, especially with the transfer portal rules, I think it's much easier for teams to rebuild their programs.
Oh yeah, for
Way
sure.
more than it was like in the past, because typically in the past when a coach would get hired, it would take at least 1 or 2 years to
Mhm.
get all their recruits to come in and whatnot.
Mhm.
But now with the transfer portal, you
Yeah.
can basically just swap teams, I guess.
Yeah, I
What it
mean,
is. As long as that
that and like the NIL deals, I mean, those really
as
do
long as
wonders
the
too.
NIL talks to it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Those are definitely something too.
And
So,
Travis Hunter too. Like,
little dog.
I sort of thought of this a little bit, but any chance of him becoming football show?
I don't know if we're gonna say that just yet, but
I
I
know,
mean, like, I mean, maybe.
I'm here for it if it happens.
What do you
It's
think,
just,
John?
It's just for how.
Seems alright. He seems cool.
Shout out John B in the background. But NFL especially is going to be football is obviously a physical sport, so playing like that many snaps for like an entire NFL game would be crazy. But
No, for sure, for sure.
I guess if there's someone to do it, especially this generation coming up. why
Well,
not
I
be
mean,
him?
all I know is I'm excited for the NFL to get started here. That's what I mainly watch. I
Ready
mean,
for that Steeler football.
oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah, we got a Ravens fan over here. His opinion doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know. Week
Yeah.
1, you know, it's going to be a tough game. I do think they're going to win.
I think
our defense is going to
with
overpower Brock
Kittle,
Purdy.
With Kittle and Bosa being out, I think that opens up a chance.
Is
for
Bosa
them.
guaranteed to be out?
I don't think he can't figure out that contract, I don't think he plays.
Probably not.
And it's been rumored he wouldn't play if he didn't have a new contract because I think he wants not TJ Watt money, he wants Aaron Donald money.
I just think our defense is going to have their
think-
way with Brock Purdy.
I agree with that because once you get the Niners out of their like traditional offense, which don't get me wrong, it's damn hard, impossible to defend, especially with that run game that Shanahan has. And CMC with like Kittle, Debo especially, and Ayuk. Well, I guess not Kittle with this if he's going to be.
We got
out,
Jerry Porter
but-
Jr. there. We're good. We got Jerry Porter Jr.
But I think if we could stop,
Don't put me out there.
I think if the Steelers could stop the run against San Fran and
Oh,
force
yeah.
them to pass, because the thing about their offensive line outside of Trent Williams, there's not really anyone that's like even like average to above average
No.
pass protector. Like most of it is just
Their secondary's okay. Their pass rush is pretty good,
their
but
pass rush is
yeah,
arguably better than ours, especially
Maybe.
with Javon Kinlaw. But it won't
True.
be. It won't be if Nick Bosa don't play.
that is true. That is true. That is
So-
true.
But that's definitely something to monitor. I think if both of those players don't play, I can't imagine the Steelers losing it. Plus, every year the Steelers always come out week 1 when they're heavily favored against.
Well, you want to hear a bold take? I think Steelers win even if Nick Bosa is playing.
It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They'll definitely be
I think they
closer.
still win. I do.
But I guess we could segue to this on offense. What do you think Kenny Pickett needs to do to improve from year 1 to year 2?
I think he needs to be smarter with the ball, which I've seen it in preseason. He's been very smart with it. I mean, he needs to just not throw the ball away. I mean, he needs to just know where he's throwing, not rush it, not get into like stupid predicaments. I mean, he looked very good in the preseason. When I was liking what I was seeing. But I think to improve, just less interceptions, and just smarter thinking, pretty much.
I agree with that for the most part. I think another elite trait he could potentially get, I don't know if he'll ever be elite at it, but something that would definitely elevate what Kenny Pickett can do on the field is while he loves to play extend and create for his offense outside the pocket, I think if he learns how to stick within structure and not leave the pocket super early, especially when there's not pressure, it would make most of the plays like work that much better and have that be a threat.
I mean, if he
And
leaves
have him like running outside of the pocket
Yeah,
as a threat,
but I mean,
rather
like-
than him doing it every play.
if he leaves the pocket and rushes for like 10, 15 yards, I'm okay with it. I mean,
But
that's
if
what
you-
we've needed.
But that's the other thing about that, where you can do that, or you could stick in there and hit a 20-yard pass downfield. And
Yeah.
especially since now that the O-line should be much more improved with Sam Malu. And I don't know if Jones is going to start week 1, but whenever he gets in there, he's going to be a rock.
Well, I'll tell you one
Essentially.
thing. Everyone hates on Kenny Pickett, but he's definitely got a better arm than Lamar Jackson.
Oh, God.
Definitely that.
He's not lying.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
But Deshaun Watson's going to be iffy. I don't know. I don't know what to expect from him.
He got big massages. He's ready to
Maybe.
go.
Joe Burrow. I mean,
But is he-
he's
is
going to
he-
be good, but he's not starting week 1, so
Huh? When did that happen?
he's out.
I don't think he's out.
He's hurt,
Is
right?
He might have got cleared, but
Really?
that's to be determined, I guess.
I hope not.
But
No, we can
I guess
beat him, though.
I guess the important question that everyone wants to know is he gonna take that Trevor leap?
I mean, honestly, everyone's so high on Trevor Lawrence. I think Joe Burrow's been more successful than Trevor Lawrence. I mean,
Well, I mean, I don't think that's the big.
no, I mean, everyone's
I
like,
don't
oh,
think
is he
people-
going to get like Trevor? Like, I think Joe Burrow's like earned his money, and he's done better than Trevor. So people just,
But Burrow's like already like top 2.
that's what I'm saying.
Or
So like,
3,
people can't
depending
compare
on
him to
how you
Trevor
feel
Lawrence.
about
Trevor
Allen.
Lawrence had one good season. I mean,
But I think Lawrence can definitely answer. For me personally, he's at least top 7.
well, yeah, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying like that was his first like solid season last year. Like he needs to like repeat that and show us that
Yeah, I agree with that.
He could, yeah.
I agree.
So
I don't think Kenny Pickett's as good as him, or will be, but
we'll see. I don't know.
I see way too many comparisons
Oh,
to that, and it drives me insane.
People are comparing
Who,
Kenny.
Trevor
Trevor
and
to
People
Kenny.
are comparing Kenny to Joe Burrow.
Yeah, they're
Well,
smoking.
the
good
difference
shit.
between that, Joe Burrow has that elite pocket presence. He knows when to stay in
Mm-hmm.
and extend plays. And
Well, we'll see what Kenny does this year.
And he also gets the ball out faster.
He
than
does.
Kenny, I'd say.
He does.
But that's the difference between like elite pocket presence versus like average.
Well,
Which
you know,
it's not a knock on Kenny, but it's just I think if he were to be elite in that category, it would make him that much better.
Well, I know one of the analysts was saying Kenny Pickett got married this year, so he's going to be different. One of the analysts was actually saying that. He got married, he's ready to go.
Definitely that. And I think the last thing that would also help with Kenny Pickett, who's going to emerge as wide receiver one?
I think it's going to start off as Deontay, but I think George Pickens he's just going to take over. I mean, I think Deontay's a better receiver, but I think George is like just better overall with like he's got better hands, better athleticism.
Definitely.
But like Deontay's good. He's good for like
Deontay,
big gains.
The thing
Not
about
in the end zone.
The thing about Deontay, and it's frustrating when he has like the drops and whatnot, but
Mhm.
he is such an elite separator at the line of scrimmage.
And George isn't.
It's just a matter of like him actually like not only like catching the ball, but winning contested catches or whatnot. That's something Devontae Adams early in his career struggled with. And obviously comparing Devontae to Deontay is like it's a stretch, but that's who Devontae Adams was when he was younger, back in Green Bay. Because I think you can go back to the NFC Championship game in 2014. Adams wasn't even on the field because they'd rather play people like Nelson or Cobb that would have reliable hands or whatnot.
You know, the thing about George Pickens, too, is he is having some trouble separating, from other D-backs. That's probably his problem, but he makes up for it with his one-on-ones, and that's what kind of balances it out a little bit.
Exactly. The fact that some of the catches he makes is just absurd.
Better than any Ravens receiver can make, that's for sure.
He ain't lying. I don't know. I mean, OBJ is on the team now. He is one of the best
Oh,
catchers
great.
of all
He's
time. Just let me
he's
know
washed,
if I'm
but
wrong.
it's all good.
He'll get injured like week 4.
Maybe if it was
Pretty good.
7 years ago.
Besides the
I'd
Bengals,
agree.
we do have one of the best receiving cores in the division. They definitely have first, but we're probably
was gonna
second.
say.
I would say we're second.
I think Cleveland's low-key is really good with
They got Amari.
Elijah Moore, DPJ, and
DPJ.
David Njoku on top of having the best run game in the league.
See, but I would rather have George and Deontay. I
they-
love Amari
'cause-
Cooper, but
Because even
Elijah
with
Moore has improved himself
Because
yet.
even with the receivers, that run game being as elite as it is with Nick Chubb, that's going to open up so many passing lanes for that Cleveland offense, regardless of if Deshaun's good or not.
I just think Elijah Moore hasn't proved himself yet.
Well,
He has potential.
He did in his rookie year for a little bit,
Yeah, for a little bit.
and then Braxton Berrios outplayed him
Yeah,
or
Sad.
got snaps
that's what I'm
over
saying.
him.
He hasn't proved himself yet.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't
sad.
rule it out though.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I don't know.
How many wins do you think the Steelers end up with?
I would say their ceiling is probably 11-6. I would say the floor is probably 9-8.
I'd say the absolute worst case scenario, which, looking back at last year, worst case scenario did happen, and they still won 9 games.
Yeah, so and they're a lot
Shout out
better
that
this year.
$50.
They have a much better roster.
12%.
They have a much better roster this year. Like they got a lot better in the offseason.
Like picture a rookie QB like Mitch Trubisky was playing like 4 or 5 games, and their
Deontay.
best player didn't even play half of their games.
TJ
Watt, yeah. I think their floor, worst case scenario, picture that scenario happens again. Set at the very lowest 7. But I
don't know
think
about that.
I like that.
I don't know about
but-
that.
True honest
But
man
the
right
their actual ceiling, I would say probably 11 wins. But in my opinion,
That's what I said.
I think they'll get 9 or 10 wins.
It's pretty
which,
reasonable.
in my opinion, I'll go with 9 wins.
See, I want to say they're going to win the division, but with the Bengals there, so I don't know. I think they definitely can win it.
I think something else that would
but it's gonna be tough.
I think
They have an easy schedule,
Exactly.
and I think we can beat the Bengals.
We could definitely compete with them. I don't know if we'll win both times,
I
but
think
they'll
we'll win both
definitely be
times, no.
they'll be great games. to
I think
watch.
we're gonna sweep the Browns. Split the Ravens.
I think you're sleeping on the Browns a little bit.
I am, but I have a good reason to be. I mean, I think we'll sweep them.
Have you seen their D line this year?
Great.
You know who's on it.
Great. Who?
You know who's on it.
Who? Oh yeah, Myles Garrett. Okay.
No, they added because last year the thing that made the Browns so bad was that they had a replacement level D lineman next to Myles Garrett, like some of the worst players in the league.
I still think they're finishing in last place. I think it's gonna be Bengals.
I think the
Steelers,
Browns
Ravens,
will
Browns.
Be better. They'll definitely be better, even if Deshaun Watson doesn't return.
Oh
to his
yeah,
elite
no, for
form.
sure. I just think
And
our
that team
defense is
last
better.
year got 7 wins, I think.
I just think we're better than them. I do. We always have their number, and we always have Lamar
'Cause I
Jackson's
think-
number. So
Because I think now that their D line's gone from one of the worst to probably, arguably one of the best, like at least top 10 at the very top 10 is like their floor. Because now they got Myles Garrett with Zadarius Smith, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Shelby Harris.
But listen, someone's got to finish in last, and I think it's gonna be the Browns. I think
Low-key could be the Ravens.
It could be the
without
Ravens.
their corners.
It could be
but-
the Ravens. I wouldn't put it past. And you
Honestly-
know what? Lamar is terrified of the Steelers. We have his number all the time.
The thing about
Look at
the
his
the
record against
Ravens
us.
too, we don't know how seamless that transition from their old offense to the new one's gonna play out. Because that would be something that's interesting.
Oh, they got Zay Flowers though, so I mean, like, there's hope.
Because the old scheme that they'd have, it was very run game dependent, and not saying the next one, the one with Todd Monken wouldn't be, but it's definitely going to be way more step back passing
Yeah,
to it.
for sure.
And is there going to be lumps with Lamar?
But can Lamar
transitioning
throw
to
the
it?
ball? I don't know. We'll see.
Alluded to what I said.
We'll see.
He signed that contract for a reason.
Maybe.
He ain't
Better-
running the
better
ball
than
no more.
Lamar.
Maybe because
He's
they got
gonna
no running
He's
back
gonna
on
pass for at least
He signed that because J.K. Dobbins
Better.
ain't signing.
He better.
3,500.
They got no running back. Who's their running back?
3,500.
Gus Edwards?
Gus the Bus.
Yeah, so you got
Gus
no
the
running
Bus is a
back.
tank.
You got-
JK, a tank.
He's not going to play this year.
Why isn't he?
I
He's
think-
holding out.
Who, JK?
He's been holding
He's
out.
definitely playing.
He's been practicing.
Oh, really?
He's been practicing. It's
thought
not,
he was-
no, it's not like Nick Bosa where he's been
I thought he was holding out.
Chris Jones, another one. Yeah, I don't. Speaking of Chris Jones, I don't think Chiefs can repeat without him.
I don't think Chiefs are repeating, period. It's hard to repeat in the NFL.
It's hard to repeat without a pass rush. That's for
Yeah,
sure. And
so
it's
I
pretty
think they're going to be good. I just don't think they're going to repeat. I think they'll go far in the playoffs, but I think like the Bills or like the Bengals will like have their number in the playoffs. I think.
I think the AFC is going to be represented by either the
Bills.
Bengals or the Jets.
I think this is the Bills' year to finally do it.
That just depends on if Von Miller comes back.
They have to do it eventually. I think this is the year.
But if Von Miller doesn't come back to what he was, and this is his second,
It's true.
This is his second ACL tear, and he's going to be 35 at the end of the year.
Don't be surprised though if there's a surprise team that comes in there and gives them a battle.
It's going to be the Jets.
I'm not saying it's going to be the Steelers, but I'm saying that the AFC is pretty competitive and it could be anybody.
There's so many amazing, elite QBs in the division or the conference too. And I'm like, can all these QBs get toned down a bit for the Steelers?
Well, the only teams you can really count out are the Patriots, the Texans, the Colts, and probably the Raiders. Those are the only 4 teams for sure you can really count out.
Even then, the Pats' defense is really good.
They're in a really
it's
good
elite.
division.
They're the
Dolphins
the
are
thing
good,
about their-
Jets
the
are
We
thing
gotta
about
remind. We gotta
Jets is good.
remember who their coach is.
Okay, they missed the playoffs
Bill.
last year.
Don't
Yeah,
matter.
yeah, Bill O'Brien too. He was carrying. He
happens.
was carrying Deshaun for his
No,
legacy.
I would say the safe. I would say the safe 4 teams are those 4 teams to not make the playoffs in the AFC. I don't want to say Denver because
You also got to consider injuries too.
I don't want to say Denver because I feel like Russell Wilson's gonna have a bounce back year with Sean Payton, but we'll see.
Jerry Judy.
Jerry Judy. I'm
Except-
high on
except
Jerry
he's
Judy
hurt.
this year. He's on 3 of my
Except
fantasy
he's
teams.
literally hurt.
He'll be all right.
He's gonna miss the first 3 weeks.
He'll be all right. He's gonna be a solid flex option on fantasy, at least for my team. I don't know if he's like your wide receiver one or not.
I drafted
but I mean,
Cortland Sutton right after him. And
Nah,
I'm gonna
I
rub it in
drafted
his
Jerry
face.
Judy. He drafted Cortland Sutton.
I got Jerry Judy late. I was pretty happy.
Yeah.
He's up there. I heard he did good at the end of last year.
I took
heard he put
Jonathan
up-
Taylor round 3, and I was not happy about that.
One more thing we'll finish off with.
Jesus Christ.
Don't draft injured players in fantasy.
But if they drop, it's a bargain. Because if they play later,
But
then
if they
it's
don't
still
play,
a bargain.
but if they don't play, then
Well, then you're screwed.
drafting
Then you're
nobody.
I took the risk. It might be a high reward.
Would you draft McCaffrey for 3 games or Jonathan Taylor for 14?
Well, I mean, obviously Jonathan Taylor for 14.
Exactly.
But like CMC wasn't there when I was drafting, and it was
But, like, back
it was
in-
late third
that-
round. I'm like,
that was-
JT still there?
That was
Perfect.
like back in 2021 or whatnot.
I had the
I'm
first
trying to think
overall
of
pick that year too, and took
Or
CMC.
no, 2018. Would you rather take 0 games of Le'Veon or who was the Todd Gurley?
Probably Tug. I mean,
Yeah.
but at the time, you didn't think Le'Veon was going to sit out the whole year.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, I'll take him even if he's out for like 4 weeks. That's why I was okay with having
think-
JT and him missing 4 weeks
Yeah.
because okay, it's
I think
fine.
another one this year, Cooper Kupp. Hamstring injury.
He's on my
I-
dynasty team.
I stayed off of him. I was like,
Smart.
it's all cool until he gets a setback.
Yeah, we'll
And
see.
then a month later, he gets a setback.
Oh, God.
He's going across the country, even though he's day-to-day. He's going across the country,
I think he'll be
visiting
okay.
specialists,
I think he'll be okay.
if he's healthy or not.
I mean, the Rams team is going to be an absolute
'Cause I
shit show
think-
this year, but
Hey, don't sleep on Puka. That's our
don't
receiver
sleep on
their
Stetson
team.
Bennett. Stetson Bennett's going to come in and
He probably will, because Stafford, I don't know if he could make a throw.
we'll see how he does.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. That's all I got.
that works.
Thanks for having me, Sam.
And now we're going to be joined by one of my boys. Love talking sports with him. His name's Sean, or Sluggo. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, what's up, everybody? So thanks for the little intro there, Sam. I jumped on Schrade N Beanz, the last podcast, talk a little NHL. So now he kind of roped me in to do some NFL. We'll kind of, go into this. Got a game Thursday. Yeah, we got a game Thursday for NFL already.
Can't wait for it to come back already.
Yep. So where are we starting out?
So I guess with the season, especially since there's a lot of players that are joining new teams, a lot of teams with big expectations, whatnot. What do you think? What move in the offseason do you believe was the biggest acquisition for their specific team, or just in general?
So, one I got to point out, because I think you're going to see it on everybody's list, is Rodgers to New York. I think everybody's going to have that somewhere in their top 5, just because the question marks that were behind Zach Wilson last year. I think, they needed a quarterback. We see Garrett Wilson's, fledged into this wide receiver that is definitely a number 1 in the league. And I think Rodgers doesn't really have much to prove anymore, I know I've seen some people say, when was the last time he was in the Super Bowl? Great question. But, I think Rodgers to the Jets really fills a big hole in that AFC.
I think I think it would not only improve his legacy among like other players he's compared to, but I think just that team in general winning would be historic for not only Rodgers, but even like the Jets in general, since they haven't really had a real Super Bowl contender since like, I guess you could say like 2010, but even before that, like way back.
I'm thinking
way back to,
Sanchez.
the way, and even with like that team, it was more so like a great defense.
Yeah.
And I think that team even had Matt Forte. Or no, LaDainian Tomlinson. That's who it was.
Yeah, that's right.
That was a really good weapon on those teams. But
Yeah, I don't know. I think they make a
now,
push.
I think now there's a window for a Super Bowl potentially within these next 2 years. And I think even within this 2-year window, I've also seen like him being a good mentor to like Zach Wilson potentially. Which,
and I think that's huge.
in my opinion, I don't think I'll write off Zach Wilson, mainly because I'm a big believer of who he was coming out. But He's definitely not going to live up to number two. But can he
I was gonna
be?
say, yeah,
Can
that's
he? Can he make a Geno-esque comeback?
maybe. Who
My
knows?
opinion, I think it's on the table. I don't know if it's in New York, but for
You
me,
want
I,
to move on to number
for
two?
me,
Oh,
I think biggest QB is probably that in the AFC. And looking at the NFC, in my opinion, it's Bryce Young. I think
okay.
his I think his ability to be accurate on all three levels of the field, like short, intermediate to deep. I think his ability to sense pressure within the pocket and also play extension without the with play extension beyond the pocket, like going outside of it. I think his playmaking ability in that sense is has was elite in college, and I think it should translate in the NFL, depending on how long that takes to happen. And I think Bryce Young will probably be one of the best QBs to come out since like Burrow or Lawrence, or at least the last 10 years, in my opinion.
Ooh, wow, that is some big shoes right there to fill. Jeez. I remember who you hyped up. Guy very similar. What was his name? Zach Wilson, I think you hyped up that much
Fields,
when he was coming out of college.
I think it
So,
was
you
for.
know, hopefully you don't go 0 for 2 in this category of hyping up rookie QBs. But no, I think he's got
I
the.
think in terms of like tools coming out of college,
Oh
I should
yeah,
probably
100%.
because obviously like Mahomes, like Josh Allen, like obviously them coming into the league, like they're a lot more raw than what I think Bryce Young's gonna be.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a little concerned about his weapons. That's
That
kind
that
of
is
my
a
issue.
real concern. But he also did have that same problem in college, outside of like the whenever he had like Jameson Williams and John Mechie. But even for that
Yeah, but
national championship game, he had neither of those for most of it.
yeah, but there's one thing about playing a college defense, and there's one thing about playing a NFL defense, um,
I
and
agree
you got
with
to have
that.
the weapons. Now, I like that they have Miles Sanders. I think that's a good move. Um, but I don't know, just the weapons. That's what I'm kind of scared of for him.
Not now that the weapons aren't elite, I agree with that. I do think most of them are just capable starters.
Oh yeah, that's fair. I think they're tight ends. I've always
Hayden
been
Hurst.
saying they. Yeah, I forgot they got him. Wow, I was
And
thinking
the
of.
receivers, they're not like amazing, but they're decent.
Yeah,
Like
they're
J. Short,
serviceable.
Adam Thielen. I think
Oh yeah, that's right.
Terrence Marshall
Yeah,
got hurt. I think too. So
I believe so. Yes.
uh, Laviska Chenault can be a gadget guy, but that's not
Yeah, he
really
could.
what you're counting on.
Yeah, yeah, not at all.
But yeah, that's probably the one QB I'd take for the NFC, and there's could be a chance where he finishes, depending on how you feel about Kyler. Actually, I wouldn't put him above Kyler or Hurts, but with how lackluster the QB play is in the NFC, I think wouldn't be outrageous to put him top five in NFC QBs
Wow.
at the end of the year.
Okay. Well, I don't want to transition, but you just set me up perfectly. Another one I wanted to talk about was DJ Moore to the Bears.
Hmm.
Because, I mean, you need a number one
I like
guy.
that
You need a number one guy to the Bears. And, I mean, you're a big believer in Fields.
one. Mhm.
So they needed their guy. They went out and got him. They thought it was Chase Claypool, but it wasn't. So
Not
now you
bad.
got DJ Moore coming in, and I don't know if Justin Fields is going to be an elite quarterback. Now's the time.
Yeah, especially since DJ Moore's an incredible route runner and also is really good after catch too. I mean, even the
He's got to
preseason,
stay healthy, though. That's my contingency before people burn me a year from
definitely
now.
that. Hmm. Hopefully he helps Fields get the ball out faster, but which has been a glaring issue
Yes, quite.
over him. But I think the real wide receiver that's gonna elevate, make that make the QB elevate from year two to year three is gonna be Calvin Ridley.
Okay.
Because I think what he's gonna do to that offense, he's gonna make Christian Kirk like the second option instead of the first. Zay Jones like or no, Evan Ingram the third instead of the second, and so on with Zay Jones, like going from third to the fourth. his ability to be a threat down the field and with his speed and his route running down there can open up this offense to way more than what it was last year. And I think Calvin Ridley is going to explode onto the year, especially with
Yeah,
Trevor Lawrence. And it's also going to lead to Trevor Lawrence exploding as well as like a top 5 QB, in my opinion. If he's
yeah,
not dead.
yeah, and I think we saw that back in Atlanta too with him. He was able to stretch the field and really got some guys, some good, good receptions underneath, just because he was taking so much pressure away. So I'm interested to see what kind of year Christian Kirk has, because I think that could be huge. But yeah, I think Calvin Ridley is a big move for them, and inexpensive too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, for what they gave up, even if it doesn't work out, it's probably like I think the terms was like a 4th round pick if he doesn't
yeah, it was
resign
nothing.
or something like that. But if he does resign a 2nd round pick, I mean, would you trade a 2nd round pick for like a great receiver on your
Yeah,
team?
yeah. I mean, that's a good deal. I mean, I hate to bring Claypool back under the bus, but you get a second for him. So I mean, if you get Calvin Ridley, I'll take that
Actually,
all day.
better for him.
Yeah, yeah, for real. Yeah, but I'll take Calvin Ridley all day.
Yeah.
Healthy. Okay, so I don't want to bring it back to the Panthers, but I feel this is my third best move. Frank Reich to the Panthers. I feel he always got a terrible rep for the Colts.
That's another reason I'm high on Young too, because of him and even that coaching staff.
Yeah, yeah, I think I think there's a lot of question marks around the Panthers, especially since now what Brian Burns might be sitting out. Who knows about that?
Mhm.
But there's some question marks, but I like what they're doing down there, and I think bringing in Reich was good for the Panthers.
I agree with that. Even a lot of the other coaches they brought in too, like Ejiro Evero, he was incredible for the Broncos last year. I even think
Yeah, I
some of
think they're
their assistants are even top notch. I don't know why I can't think of any off the top of my head, but that
yeah, I
coaching
think
staff
they're
in general is like incredible.
yeah, they're putting something together good down there. I know, like I said, there's a lot of question marks, but I had to switch it up on you and bring in a coach for best acquisition.
And speaking of NFC South coaches, I think one that's done really well considering what he's had to work with is Arthur Smith. And going back to his time in Tennessee, he had uh he had his offense run through Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
And that's why I think with them drafting Bijan Robinson 8th overall, not only is he gonna live up to that draft value, I think he might be one of the best running backs to come out since Saquon, especially. But even then, he might be a better coming out. He's a better prospect than Saquon, especially since his vision was way better than what Saquon's was. And I think the only thing Bijan lacks is like true top end speed. But I think one of his college stats, I should have been better with this, but it was around 300 carries he had. He broke 110, or no, 100 and I think 6 of those. So one every 3 carries, he's breaking a tackle, which
and I
is
mean,
an absurd rate to break tackles.
yeah, the NFL has
Even if
showed that
even
you
if it
don't
is
need top end
even if it
speed.
is college, it's still like insane. And I think his ability to like shift like running lanes with how he's able to move, I think his ability not also to line up outside too is also amazing. Like I think one of the plays I saw him in college, he lined up as a receiver, like an outside receiver, ran a post route and lost one of the safeties in coverage.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. You don't need that top end speed. Sometimes you just got to know how to run a route as a running back.
And now that Arthur Smith has his new Derrick Henry in Atlanta, I think their offense in general is just going to be a lot better than what people are going to expect, even with Desmond Ritter at QB.
See,
Because
it's going to be interesting.
As long as Desmond Ritter can be like an average like starter, like say Alex Smith, like if you put Alex Smith in this offense, it could be functional.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And that's
I
all
just
and honestly, that's all I expect from him. He doesn't have to take an insane leap or anything.
I just can't wait till we look back on this in a year and we're like, oh, here we go, hyping Atlanta up, and and then we see what's
Hey,
his
I'm going
name?
to the game next week.
Oh, geez, here we go. He's hyping them up. Everybody heard it here first.
That's what I
Well,
will say. QB is definitely. I'm not sold on Ritter, but
no, nobody is.
I'm not expecting him to be good. But if he could be adequate, this offense can be like borderline top 10.
Fair enough. Well, you ready to
Especially
move on to?
last year. Especially since last year, I think rushing wise, they were like top 5 or something like that.
Oh yeah, they definitely moved
Out
up
here,
there.
whatnot, and their offensive line. That's the underrated part about it.
Yeah,
Of how
no, I
great
agree.
they are at run blocking. Chris Lindstrom was probably a top 3 guard,
I can agree with that.
maybe with Zach Martin and Joel Batonia being above him.
Understandable. All
But
right.
I guess, but I guess with Atlanta having some pressure to win, who do you think? Who do you think would have the most pressure to, I guess, go further and win a Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think most pressure on me right now, if I'm thinking from a team perspective, I'm heading to the NFC North and I'm going with the Vikings. Uh, and I feel this team is not talked about enough, besides Justin Jefferson, of course. Um, and
I
I
agree.
think this team really needs to have a fire lit under their ass because Kirk Cousins just, what, took a $35 million extension for a year? Okay, cool. Bring Kirk Cousins. However, he shows he can win, but he hasn't shown this deep success into the playoffs. They
I
lost to the
agree with
Giants
that.
last year. It was a close game. I think it was 30-24. But you got to beat a team like that.
Hmm.
I'm
I,
just, I'm not buying into it completely. And then you lose Dalvin Cook, and I know they got guys coming up like Madison, but
they had a lot of
I
guys
just
they turned over this all season too.
that's fair. I think they're still struggling though. I know they went out and got Jordan Addison from Pitt. I had to
Yeah.
toss that out to you there. I know you're a Pitt guy. Um,
Yeah.
but I think that's a team that there's a lot of pressure on that because if
I
you don't
also
win this
think
year,
their
do you move
defense.
on?
I also think their defense could improve just by default, especially just with the coaching change, going from one of the worst to one of the best, from going from I forgot that dude's name, but going from him to Brian Flores,
Yeah, that's
that's
fair.
like a noticeable upgrade.
I just remember watching them get torched on Monday Night Football against the Eagles last year.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, what is this team doing out here?
Hmm. Yeah, teams tend to get torched by the Eagles a lot,
That is fair.
actually. And I think that also leads me to another team that got torched by them in the NFC Championship game against them. Obviously, without like their QBs or whatnot, Brock Purdy couldn't throw. If you watch that second half of the game, I think they ran every other play. It was like a screen or like a dump off.
Yeah, he
Because
didn't
how
throw.
badly he couldn't.
Yeah, I
But
remember watching that. He did not
uh,
throw.
that being said, with what's happened over this past offseason with San Francisco, there's going to be a lot on the line with not only that team but with like Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch on that entire era, especially since
Yeah.
now that wait, what were you saying?
No, I was going to say, I think Kyle Shanahan, I think he's fine for another year. But I think you look at John Lynch and go, okay, what he did, like set this franchise back
I think
far enough.
that move goes hand in hand because I think the move you're alluding to is that Trey Lance decision on draft day.
Yes. Yeah, I'm definitely alluding to
I
Trey
think
Lance. That is
that's
not.
that's where a lot of the pressure for this Niners team comes from is the fact that how much you give up to get Trey Lance to not honestly not really give him a chance, even if you go back to like
Oh, he didn't have a
Some of
chance.
the times he only had 4 starts. Even if you want to say like Brock Purdy or Jimmy G are a better QB, you don't give up the assets that turn into Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Bradley Chubb, aka 3 first round picks,
Yeah,
to get a QB that you're not really on board with. And going back to the draft, I think we all remember how Kyle Shanahan wasn't really on board with him in general.
oh yeah,
And that's where all those Mac Jones rumors came from. Because if you think of Kyle Shanahan's system, it's built around the QB being the point guard, making quick decisions and just improvising at an elite level. And obviously, like Justin Fields isn't that kind of player, and Trey Lance was thought to be that kind of player. And Mac Jones is obviously that player, but you don't take a QB that high with such a low ceiling. In my
yeah. I
opinion.
think if you're the 49ers, you could do it over again. You maybe trade back farther into the first round.
Or
Pick
just
up
keep
some
the pick they
picks.
had. I
Ah,
think they're the 13th pick or the 12th pick.
I don't know. I think you trade back a little and try to make a run after one of those other guys like Mac Jones. Um,
Maybe I think if I was them, I would let the draft play. I wouldn't make the trade up so early. That's number one.
oh yeah, you don't
Because
want
they
to sit
made it in like
after pick
March.
one.
They made it in like March. And
Yeah,
even if you want to ignore the QB route, there's like literally the next 10 picks are like all pro like superstar players within the
yeah.
next 10 picks. Like, could you imagine what Kyle Pitts could be like in this offense?
Oh, here we go. Don't
Or
don't get me
Jamar
started
Chase,
about him.
or Devontae Smith, or Jalen Waddle,
Yeah, there's
or
definitely some huge question marks
imagine
playing on
Rashawn
the other side of Debo Samuel.
Slater, Penei Sewell. Like, literally anyone within those next 10 picks would have made more of an impact than Trey Lance.
I gotta agree with you there.
When you put it like that, it's like, and then we get the Purdy, where it's like, I, in my opinion, I doubt his ability to elevate a team to win a Super Bowl, which basically means I don't think he's not in that next. He can be a QB you win with, but he won't be a QB you win because of, in my opinion.
That's fair.
And
I think they're
I, and I
definitely
think
gonna have to get another
I
weapon.
think them making that decision to commit to him as their future of their franchise at QB, I think that's going to be a mistake. And honestly, if you think of all these coaches with like offensive gurus specifically, you can always point to like one QB that's definitely elevated them. We're seeing it right now with Andy Reid, who was called a choker for years, and now he has Patrick Mahomes and is viewed as one of the best coaches in the league.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he
You even
definitely
see
got.
it, you even see it with like Mike Holmgren with Brett Favre and whatnot. The Don, I think Don Walsh for like Joe Montana teams, and I think Kyle Shanahan is gonna leave this season with a lot of questions about like his legacy in general. Even though he's been one of the most, actually, I can't say one of, he is the most influential offensive coordinator over the past decade, especially since half the league tries to run the same exact scheme he does.
I was just about to say everybody tries to copycat him.
Because of how great it is. But I think if he doesn't win in San Francisco, like a Super Bowl, I think you can look at this move and I think you can put a lot of blame towards him over not giving him a chance or whatnot, or not using those assets to help contribute to that team winning a Super Bowl. That's just
Yeah,
my
I
opinion.
agree. Yeah, I think there's a lot of question marks there now since the Trey Lance to the Cowboys trade has played out.
And even thinking about like all their draft picks, outside of Nick Bosa, there hasn't really been a first round pick that's been like incredible for them. I
Yeah, and
mean,
that's why it's crazy. Like how,
Javon Kinlaw's looking like horrible too.
yeah,
Brandon Ayuk, I mean, he's been good, so I guess
I don't
that's
think
been.
he's been first round.
IU's probably the only other one. Because if you go
Yeah.
back 2017, I can't think of the dude's name. The dude they traded down with the Bears with, Solomon Thomas. I mean, he didn't work out.
No,
20.
he didn't.
Oh, they also had the linebacker from Alabama that got arrested. I forgot his
Oh,
name.
I'm blanking on it too.
Reuben Foster. They had him.
Yes,
That was one of that was. I think that was the same draft class.
they might have been.
So I think, in my opinion, I'll still view Kyle Shanahan as like a great offensive coordinator and as one of the best, especially the best I've seen in my time. But I think a lot of people are gonna start to question what he's done here after this year if they can't win a Super Bowl.
I agree with you. Well, Sam, I think we're almost at the portion of the segment that I've been wanting to talk to you about the most today, and that
What is
is
this
our
about?
fantasy football matchup this weekend.
I love to hear that.
So,
Educate the audience.
yeah. So, Sam and I are in a fantasy football league where he's the commissioner. Um,
Clearly rigging it.
yeah, clearly rigging it because he got number one overall, Justin Jefferson. Um, and we play this weekend. And currently, we are projected the same score at 27, 127. Well, I'm point .7. He's point .8 now. So you have a slight edge on me there. And I'm interested to see what happens this weekend because right now I have, well, I already lost one receiver for a couple weeks, and I might lose George Kittle for week one.
Losing George Kittle. Hey, hammer Steelers money line.
Yeah, whatever. But
But
your team's looking pretty good right now. I'm a little worried.
yeah,
However, you have a ton of
obviously
faith in Detroit running backs.
the one big thing I did with my team is, and I'll explain it because the morning of the draft I was obviously searching through Twitter for advice, and this one tweet I came across convinced me that both David Montgomery and I almost called him DeAndre Swift, Jahmyr Gibbs would both finish as top 10 fantasy running backs. And I was like, and on paper, it does sort of make sense. You know, you got your elite O line, you got your one elite receiver, you even have the same coaching staff, and you got a relative. I don't want to compare Goff to Breeze. I'm not doing that. But you definitely at least have an adequate QB to make that work.
Yeah, I
And
think
part of me felt convinced by that. And I told myself if I don't get, I forgot who it was. I think it was Garrett Wilson and Josh Allen or Devontae Smith. If I can't get two of those guys, I think I'll get Gibbs and then I'll see how the rest of the draft plays out. And then I end up drafting
yeah, I was
David
going to say
Montgomery
to
in
the
the sixth round.
listeners, Sam got none of those guys he just named.
I got oh yeah, I got Devontae Smith.
Oh yeah, he is down
I
there in
got
your
one of
flex right
three.
now.
I got one of three. Yeah, I put him in my flex because of the Thursday night. Had to put Sky Moore.
Understandable. But yeah, right now I'm kind of just interested to see him. Hoping Patty Mahomes goes off on Thursday
Hey,
night and propels me.
It's Puka season. They don't know about him. They don't know about the Rams receiver, Puka.
Yeah, I saw that actually before we jumped on earlier, and he does not have a photo on ESPN right now.
They don't know about him.
Yeah. He is supposed to step into a top 3 role with the missing Cooper Cup for the Rams. So everybody pick him up right now because he is owned in.
Sean McVay quoted he's going to make an immediate impact or
He is
whatnot.
owned in 0.9% of leagues. So
Get him
just
while you
under a
can.
percent. Get him while you can.
That whole .9 is me.
Yeah, pretty much. Sam has a lot of guys on the same team this year. He has 2 running backs from Detroit, 2 wide receivers from Jacksonville, Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson in Minnesota,
That's a good stack.
Michael Gallup and Ferguson for Dallas tight end. That
Oh,
one
I
perplexed me
didn't know.
earlier. I forgot about him. Um,
I think you got an
So,
interesting thing to talk about with your team, the trade
which
up.
one?
You gotta educate the pod about the trade up.
Oh, the trade up. Okay, so yeah, so I had the number 5 after Sam rigged the draft, and I made the trade back to number 8. And what I got in return was
Marco.
what's up?
Shout out Marco.
Yeah, yeah. So I moved back 3 spots, and I get the 4th round pick. And in the 4th round pick, I took Jonathan Taylor,
Mm.
and he's going to ride the IR for a moment for me
He
while
might
they
be
figure
riding
out
that
what
all year.
what's up.
He might be riding that all year.
Well, it was a free pick in my eyes, and I took Barkley at number 8, which I wanted, and now
I was
Travis
mad.
Kelsey,
I'm gonna
who
be
he
honest. I was mad Marco didn't get Bijan. I was like, he's a Falcons fan too, and
well,
that's the
here's the
that's the
thing: he
thing that
took
got
Kelsey at
me.
5.
Where it's like, I think he believes in Kelsey that much, which I can't
Well,
really fault
he might
someone
not
for
play
that.
week 1 as of today. As of today, he might be
Maybe
out week 1.
maybe he'll miss like 1 week, or maybe he'll somehow play when this gets uploaded.
That's fair. He might play. We'll see what happens. But
Definitely.
I got Patrick Mahomes and Kirk Chains, so I'm excited about that this
Hey,
year.
all for it.
But yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
whenever I draft, I love taking two QBs, like no matter the league, because I always want to try to get that QB1, like starting like top 10 QBs. I always try to get one of those. This one league, I got Justin Fields and Deshaun Watson.
that's
Like,
our league.
even if Fields doesn't develop as a passer, last year he finished as like QB6, despite
Yeah, because he
like
runs.
the first 4 weeks of being horrible.
Yeah, he just runs.
Which, hey, it's an elite option. I mean, hey,
He missed
shout
two
out
weeks
Fields.
last year too.
Yeah, he could have broke Lamar's rushing record.
Yeah,
I'm also really high on like Jacksonville's passing offense, which is why I got both of those receivers. Sky
oh, I can
Moore,
tell.
especially now that Kelsey might miss time, his stock might go to the roof. So I'm hype
Yeah,
about that.
that might be
Jefferson
pretty cool.
is self-explanatory. Although I might trade him for this guy, low key,
Yeah, maybe.
Jamar.
Talking trades already on here.
And having that stack with him and Hawk, Hawk was like incredible. For like the ever since he got traded to the Vikings, he was like
Yep,
the
he
cleared
did what he
right
needed to
end
do.
too. And overall, I got Samaje Perine in case Javante is not healthy, and Shiggy and Jake Ferguson sort of like a let's see if they turn into great tight ends.
That's fair. Hey, always got to roll the dice on a couple.
Michael Gallup, low key good pick if he returns to form.
Yeah, they're too crowded down there though.
Yeah, that's true, especially with Brandon Cooks.
Yep.
Although CeeDee Lamb's gonna eat. Thank you guys for watching all the way through the end. If you stuck around, like I said earlier, we're planning on having both Spotify and also try to upload some of the episodes on YouTube. But stay forward with that in the future. And I think next week's gonna be a fun episode, considering what's gonna be happening next week. So hopefully y'all have a great day, and I'll catch y'all then. Much love.